We are live. We are live. Coach, I'd like to welcome everybody to the HBCU Coaches Corner with none other than the TSU and SWAC legend, Johnnie Cole. Coach Cole, what's going on today?
What up? Boy, it was some interesting football this weekend. But first, I got to send a shout out to my son, Carter Cole. I was in Dallas, up in the woods at the Mineral Wells. You know, they had the father and son cookout, tent out, camp out. And so, man, I was up in there freezing my tail off, man, but I was doing my daddy.
You were doing your daddy thing. Hey, man.
Yeah, hey, knew I was coming, so.
We all know that you, that's one of the things that is most important, is that we fulfill our obligation as a father. You know, like me, you're a father of many children, girls and boys. So we got to do our time, man. That's what's most important, man. And so, but as we get into this football, Coach, now I want to bring this up because this right here, the thing that had everybody. It started out, the wild weekend started off Friday. Started off Friday night. Deion Sanders got out to a 29-point lead at Colorado, Coach, and they end up losing the game 46-43. How can you explain what happened, Coach?
Well, you know, one of the biggest things, and the thing that you know, when Deion was like, "Oh, well, I seen the kids quit," or other words, he said that I seen them. They don't love football. You know, sometimes as a boss, and I think he probably said, yeah, you know, it was some of his fault, but that is the downfall of the spread offense. You know, they don't eat clock. They don't have a 4-minute offense, and they throw that ball around. And one of the greatest defenses is an offense that stays on the field, you know, first and foremost. You know, when you got that defense on the field and all the time, even though when you score quick, and the reason why I'm letting you know that is because that was one of the tags on me. With Johnnie, you scored too quick, you know, and I didn't understand that until really, you know, I realized that me and my brother LC really sit down and had a talk. That sometimes when they came out at 29-0, they should have been eating clock. We ain't going to snap the ball to 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Or when they came out and scored that one last time in the third, they could have slowed it up. You know what I mean? So it ain't necessarily those kids' problem. It's about clock management. And a lot of times people get into, oh, well, we're going to come out and play not to lose. You know what I mean? We're not going to do what we're supposed to do. Well, hopefully what you're supposed to do and what you can do is in your offensive system. Meaning, hey, man, we up 4 touchdowns. You know, game over. Let's eat some clock, score some touchdowns, and we're going to be okay.
So, Coach, but when you don't have a running game to speak of, you know, you haven't shown the ability to sustain the run the entire game. I mean, at any point in this season, to be honest with you, you had a good running play here or there, but you haven't sustained the run. You know, how can that hurry up, fast-paced offense control the clock?
I like talking to you, you know, because you're talking from an armchair quarterback. That's the problem. You're supposed to have that in your system.
Oh, okay.
See, I got a toolbox. You know, when you got the toolbox, you got the half screw, you got the quarter screw, you got the full, the inch. You know what I mean? You got to have that in your toolbox. And see, a lot of these guys get away with that. You know, they come and score all these points, and stuff like this catch up with you. You should have a 4. You should have a 4. You should have that in you. You should have a 4-minute offense. You should have a get me a first down inch. And then you look at what is my best runs? What is my best passes? What are my for sure runs? What are my for sure passes? All that's in your system. If you don't have that in your toolbox, a lot of these guys getting away with being a coordinator, man, on talent. Go ahead, Rocky. We done with that. But
no, Coach. What I was gonna bring up was what you were referring to earlier was the comment that Deion Sanders had about his players, and I can't I'm unable to bring it up right now, but basically he said when explaining the loss, to paraphrase him, he said, "Hey, we got to decide what we want to be as a team. Some of these guys like football, and other people love football. The reason why he didn't say it directly, but he explained the reason why they lost is because some people just like it and not love it, and I need guys to love it." It was that a slick way of him putting the loss on the players?
Well, I mean, I don't think whether they like playing football or dislike playing football was the cause of them losing that football game. The number one thing was time management. You got to manage your time. And you know what? I got to be honest, with you and my audience, is that that's never happened to me. Because, and I've been the guy that comes back, yeah. But you got to play time management. When you look at the stats, they did not run the ball in the second half much. You sometimes running that ball 1, 2, 3 times and punting ain't a bad deal, because what happens when punting? You change the field. You know what I mean? You back them up. But when you throw that ball 1, 2, 3 times and you waste a minute, the best defense is an offense that keep their offense off the field. So when you pass that ball 1, 2, 3, like the spread offense does, you burn in a minute and a half. Now you getting off 80 plays, but they getting off 82. So your defense is on the field 80 plays.
So we got one of our viewers got a comment that he's too busy padding stats for, I'm sure he's talking about Shedeur. What do you think about that comment, Coach?
Look, Deion is a hell of a coach, but I got to agree with the caller, with the guy that type in. I think sometimes you get caught up in that. And him as a head coach, he should have grabbed the offense coordinator and say, "Look here." And let me look, newsflash. Shedeur, when he lost to Oregon and USC, he'll never win the Heisman. He can come in and throw for 10,000 yards. He won't win a Heisman. Okay? So let's the only stat that we should be concerned with now is winning. That's the big thing.
I agree,
for Colorado State. Let's win football games. And I gotta agree totally. Sometimes, when I watched him at Jackson State, he had no respect for some of the teams in the conference, and that's his thing. And sometimes a coach feel that way. Sometimes when I'm playing, I feel that way too. That he was just throwing the ball just to build the stats up. And ain't no question that was a part of it.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, at least, you telling it like it is, Coach.
No question.
Just to move on, is there anything else you'd like to say in regards to the Colorado game? And I'll just ask you this. From the situation of running the football, and then on defense, letting them run that slant play literally 6 to 8 times in a row and completing it, Coach. At some point, I would think from a coaching standpoint, if you have a player that physically can't take away the slant, are there some things you can do on the defensive side of the ball to schematically take it away if you can't take it away man on man?
Well, if you again, now I'm going to ask you a question. Did the players lose the love of the game, or did Stanford go in as smart as they are? Now, they brilliant over there. They got all 4.0 students now. Did they make the adjustment at halftime and you didn't make the adjustment and you were believing in the 29-0 stat and you didn't make your adjustments, or you didn't play, let's keep them in front of us, come up, make tackles. Travis Hunter, you're going to get drafted in the first round. You ain't got to show them that you can man up, man to man. Defensive backs. I know your head coach was an All-American and he know how to coach defensive backs, but we need some zone. We need some prevent.
That's coaching, Coach. Man. Yeah, Coach. It seemed like to me, Coach, they were hell bent on trying to take away those routes via man to man, and due to the size and strength and of the player, they just wasn't able to. And you know so better than I do. You know, do coaches sometimes just get stubborn and insist that the way that they teach it or coach it is the best way, and not willing to back out or, you know, try something else?
Well, me and you always talk. I said 75% of the coaches lose football games.
Yes.
It losers. 25% are winners. Winners don't do that. Winners win the game. Winners are not caught up in the stats and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that Deion is not. You know, now there's a difference level when you're talking about FBS and where he was and then in SWAC conference. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about coaching the football game. It's all about wins and losses and doing what your team does best. But sometimes, you know, you got to do what's best for the situation and for the game.
You got to play the situation.
As a coach, you got to manage the game. And as a young coach, Deion Sanders and his staff did not manage the game. It's no way that you dominated the first half. You dominated. 29-0. You come out the second half, hey, look here. We're going to keep people in front of us. We're going to come up and make tackles. We're going to make them go 80 yards. We're not going to come out like intimidate them and take advantage. This is a different level of football.
Those guys on scholarship too.
Everybody out there on scholarship. Talk, Rocky. You talking, boy. You learning something. Keep staying with me.
Well, yeah, I know.
Look, just hire me on your staff. Don't, hey, look, give me a chance to work it out, baby. We go to the top.
Yeah, you know, Coach, and the last thing, the thing that was remarkable to me, and I noticed it, could it have been sort of what we say in the military? We call it kind of battle fatigue. And let me explain to you what battle fatigue is, Coach. After a man has been in so many dog fights or wars, or so to speak, is that not that he loses his level of competency in battle? It's just the sheer emotional drain of being in battle after battle after battle. He's rendered a shell of himself on the combat in combat, and a lot of those times, you know, you have to send guys back, you know, to get them recharged and regenerated. That's what I saw in Colorado once they got into overtime. It seemed like they were just a team that was struggling with battle fatigue, and they just couldn't come up with the emotion and the energy and the fight, in my opinion, to pull the game out.
Well, let me take it over into the football realm, and I understand you greatly. The body only can take so many hits. So when you're practicing it right now, if you got a football team that's hidden in practice, that's wearing shoulder pads, helmets, and going full gear, I'll show you a team that's running out of gas, and they, like you say, they battle fatigue. So you have to do that. But here's the extra caveat at Colorado. You got all these stars. You're doing commercials. You're showing watches. You're driving in Maybachs. They got so much going on. You got DJs in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? You got guys showing up coaching you because they played in the coach. It's so much going around on that program. I'll give it to you. You're right. All that played a role. And they got to do a rewind. They got to do a cleansing to get back to playing college football.
Coach, I think you summed it up. Let's go to some of the other action in HBCU football, Coach. And next up, what I want to bring up is just shows you the results from this weekend. And I'll let you look at them. Is there any games, a couple of them really stick out to me. But I'll let you what games stick out to you when we look over the results from week 7 in HBCU football?
Well, let's start out with Alabama State and Jackson State. Now, I looked at the stats. Jackson State had 410 total offense. Alabama State had 200 and something. Jackson State had 3 turnovers. Alabama State had 2 turnovers. So it's about even. Here's the kicker, what I didn't understand. Jackson State had 29 first downs. Alabama State had 10. Jackson State had the ball 35 minutes. You don't win that football game?
Coach, I watched every snap of that game, and it seemed to me that every time Jackson State got it rolling, they fumble, penalties. They just couldn't stay on track. And the game was nip and tuck for most of the game, right? And then, at one point, believe it or not, Coach, it was 24-12.
Right.
Alabama State was up.
Yeah.
But those statistics it was a statistical mismatch.
Well, here's the biggest statistic that I gotta say. Those turnovers gave Alabama State a short field. You know what I mean? As you see, Alabama State, they can't go 80 yards. They ain't went 80 yards and scored consistently all year. They average under 16, 17 points. Great defensive team. Eddie Robinson, a defensive guy. So the defense is much stronger than their offense. They got to get that thing together. But I think it's a little too late. I think Florida A&M already pretty much have conquered the east side of the SWAC championship. So Florida A&M definitely be going. So TC Taylor down there, you got to get that thing together. You got to get them kids back focused. I think you're too good of a team to lose to Alabama State that only can score 17 a game.
Pretty much, Coach, when you go into that game, if you're Jackson State and you go into that game, do you recognize as a coach the only way you can lose the game is due to turnovers because of the lack of productivity with their offense?
Definitely that. The lack of their offense and turning the ball over on your side of the football field. And so you should be thinking, I got to make them go 80 yards, be able to get to my punt and make them go 80 every time. And eventually they're going to make mistakes, which they done. They had 2 turnovers, and you will win the game. And then plus, to get them down, if you get them down, they might quit on you. So I just was surprised if Jackson State, they kind of fallen off a little bit. Everybody knew that once Deion left and took some of the great players that they had, that they would be in this situation. So
I was gonna you're leading into my next question was gonna be, is this also, of course we realize it was a poor performance, but is this also a situation of where Jackson State is kind of pulling back to the pack somewhat because of the loss of Coach Prime?
The record speaks for itself. You got to look at the wins and losses. That's all what counts. Everything in between, before and after, it don't count. You won 2 back-to-back SWAC championships. You went to the Celebration Bowl national championship game 2 years back-to-back. You don't fall off like this. You don't fall off. But unfortunately, TC Taylor and Jackson State is falling off. Eddie Robinson, again, he hadn't had a lot of coaching experience with none at all before he took it over. He actually is doing a pretty good job, But when you look over there on the west side, there's only 2 other teams that got winning records at 4-3, but none of them are matching Florida A&M with 5-1.
You mean on the east side? On the east side.
I'm on the east side. Everybody else got losing records.
Yeah, Coach. I think Florida A&M is head and shoulders the best team in the conference, and we can look at the other action on the west side where Mississippi Valley surprisingly blew out UAPB. Now that was actually a surprise to me. did you see anything that led you to believe that Mississippi Valley would have this kind of result?
Well, what I seen is when Arkansas Pine Bluff hired the head coach they hired. They hired a guy from a Division I program, and we talked about that last week. Man, this guy hadn't been in the trenches, so he's getting when you hire these FBS coaches that all they've ever done was coach their position and recruit. Now he getting into maybe some of his kids didn't get the financial aid, and he spent time in the Pell in the financial aid office, and then some of them got put out of housing because their scholarships ain't there. Honeymoon over for him. You know what I mean? He might not even came to practice that week, putting fires out.
And then had to make a trip to Inabena and play on that field.
Yes, sir. And the first time he started looking at football was probably on the bus. So it's expected to me. Mississippi Valley jumped on them. I didn't think a Mississippi Valley team, after I seen them play, could beat anybody that bad. But unfortunately, Pine Bluff got a new coach. They have a new coach. 42-12, man, blowout.
And another game that kind of stuck out to me that was a surprise for me, was a really surprising result, is Alabama A&M puts it on Grambling, after Grambling shows signs of having a resurgence and beating Prairie View, and then losing a close game to Alcorn to lose 45-24 to a struggling Alabama A&M team. That was surprising to me, Coach.
Yeah, and it wasn't even close. The game wasn't even close, and I thought Hugh Jackson was on the right track. I said last week I seen them play Hampton. They played them real tough. They scored some points on LSU. They came back and won, beat Texas Southern. I thought they was on their way. I know the defensive coordinator over there. I got to get in touch with him. I see 45 on the board. Coach Thornton over there. And I thought Hugh Jackson then was putting it together, but that was a big loss. And it's just a big disparity between the east side with Florida A&M and the west side. It's just two tails, of two leagues.
Coach, if I'm not mistaken, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I know you're very much aware of the stats, but I think Alabama A&M rushed for over 300 yards.
Shoot, one guy almost rushed that much. Him and the quarterback. Quarterback was the one that did the damage. And I don't know defensively that you don't make a change or because he had a big game the week before as well, the quarterback and running.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. It's like that we're not prepared. You got to wonder, what film did we watch? So we got to get that together. Grambling got to get that together. And, they still in the hunt. They're still in the hunt for the West. You got Prairie View at 3-1. You got Southern at 2-1. You got Alcorn at 2-1. So it's really stacked up over there. It's a lot of parity over there on the east side.
If you look at, I look at it, I think Alcorn has the inside track, in my opinion, for this reason.
Wow.
That they don't have to play FAMU.
Right.
If they could just take care of business on the west side, then they can come out and win this thing.
But like I said, PV 3-1, Alcorn sitting at 2-1, Southern 2-1, Grambling 2-2, and really got a chance.
I would say Southern also has a really good chance as well, but they have, if I'm not mistaken, they have Alcorn and Grambling left to play, and so that could be a pretty tall task down the stretch playing both of those teams.
Ain't no question, and Prairie View got to play some tough teams. Texas Southern got to play some tough teams. They got an outside chance. They 1-2. You remember last year at this time, they were 1-2, and they came back to a quarter away from going to the playoffs.
To the SWAC championship.
Championship.
Well, like I said, I think I put Prairie View at a distinct disadvantage for this reason. They have to take that trip to Bragg in a couple weeks. Out over to Tallahassee, and that's going to be tough for any team. Yeah. But when you have to make that trip, and Grambling and Alcorn don't have to make that trip, you know what I mean? That puts you at a distinct disadvantage in my opinion. And so with the standings the way it is now, I still say Alcorn and Grambling still have the inside track in getting to the SWAC championship, in my opinion. But
this says this about our conference: very seldom do you win a conference with more than 2 losses. Most of the time, the team to win a conference is 6-1. So right now, we are already at that mark. So whoever wins the West is going to be 5-2.
So let me ask you this here, Coach. Do you foresee any team, and we'll visit this week to week like we always do. You're listening, you're tuned in to the HBCU Coaches Corner hosted by the SWAC legend Johnnie Cole. We're going to visit this each week, Coach. But do you foresee a team in the East getting it together and being able to run the table and making it to the SWAC championship?
A team in the East?
Yeah, making it to the SWAC championship. Just
the only one left that Florida A&M hasn't beat yet. And let me go over let me show you. All right, they beat Alabama State 2-2. They beat Jackson State 2-2. That means that they only counted 7 games. That means they will have to lose all 3. All 3 next game. They've already beat Alabama A&M. The only ones they ain't beat is the teams Bethune-Cookman and Mississippi Valley. So you think either one of them will beat Florida A&M? All they got to do is win 1 of the 2.
No, what I was talking about excuse me if I said the East, but I meant the West side. As far as of the 4 teams that are in the mix, Grambling, Southern, Prairie View, and Alcorn, which one of those teams do you see getting it together and making it to the SWAC championship?
Texas Southern. No, I'm just kidding. I always that charge to my head and not my heart. Oh, wow. Southern, let's go. Grambling, it's a long shot. They 2-2. All right, they put themselves in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
Southern ain't scoring points. Dooley, score some points. Mm-hmm. Great defense, good defense, score some points. Alcorn, man, they just got to be a little more consistent. And Prairie View sitting at 3-1 because what? Prairie View ain't played the top dogs yet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They ain't played the top dogs. So it's going to be real tough on Prairie View the next couple of weeks. So give me one more week.
Okay,
and
Coach.
I can determine a little more who I think. And it'll start spreading out too of who's going where and who's doing what.
I'll just round out the rest of the results for you guys. Prairie View got shut out by Houston Christian. That was a surprise. Southern predictably put it on Lincoln, the homecoming school.
That's the SWAC homecoming school. Everybody in the SWAC played them. Come get your butt whooping. Look,
they must pay good. Y'all, hey, the SWAC must pay good, man.
Hey, I guarantee you their uniforms smell like barbecue. Because they play everybody on homecoming. They don't have no home games. You know what I mean? Man. When you're a coach and you come home and your wife say, "Well, I thought you was out coaching football." I was. We was a homecoming.
We have Howard. I thought Howard would fare better against Harvard. Didn't happen. Texas Tech.
all over South
you know,
Carolina.
well, all over South Carolina State. After South Carolina State got off to a pretty good start against them. And then this is one I know that you had interest in, Coach. You know, being that you coached at Tennessee State,
Yes.
how they were able to handle Norfolk. Do you have any comments about that?
Well, you know, when you look at Tennessee State, first of all, the Ohio Valley Conference have fell apart. You know, all the schools have left, and they trying to find schools to put in there, and trying to find schools. I'll take my hat off to Coach George. You know, they got a patchy schedule. You know, when I was there, we played the big dogs, the Western Kentuckys, the Eastern Kentuckys. You know what I mean? The Southern Illinois. We played against Romo and all these great teams that they don't have no more. They just picking and choosing teams to play. So I take my hat off to Coach George for putting together a schedule that he can win some football games. Because really, at the end of the day, all the alumni, they don't care who you play as long as you win.
So
but for Norfolk,
yes, that's what I was going to ask you.
You know, hiring hometown coach, man, he's struggling, coach. Honeymoon is over. You know, everybody going away. You know what I mean? They throw out the kids in the bathwater, as they say. You got to win some football games in Norfolk.
This is going to be.
For some reason, Norfolk reminds me of a Texas Southern. A perennial losing program. They perennial losing. Tell me, look at Norfolk. In sitting in the ghetto, Texas Southern sit in third ward. Norfolk sit where they sit. Beautiful stadium in Norfolk. Just can't get it together.
In the midst of a recruiting hotbed in that Virginia Tidewater area.
Yes, sir. They can't get it. I thought Coach would go out there and Coach Odom would get it together. And, you know, he played well at Southern. Southern is a winning program. So if you do mediocre work, you just fitting in. See, Pete Richardson, when he was at Southern, he did championship work. You see what I'm saying? 17 seasons, 1 losing season, 2 or 3 national championships. That's taking it to the next level. Because Southern got everything that you want there.
Coach, looking at your background, I see a ring in your background that says Southern, right?
Yeah.
Was that some of that excellence that Pete Richardson was able to obtain?
National championship ring right there. That was the national championship. We was the only team, only 2 black teams. We played South Carolina State on January 1st during bowl year. That was bowl season. We played with the big boy. We played in the Georgia Dome. Yes, sir. We played against Steve McNair. Beat all that. We won all that, Coach. We collected all that. We finished 11-1.
Wow.
And you know, and see, Pete Richardson was my high school coach.
I didn't know that, Coach.
Yeah, I was his starting quarterback as a sophomore at 145 pounds, throwing it right and left. Let's get that straight.
So Pete, you had a relationship with Coach Richardson.
Oh man,
that dates back a long time.
Man, Pete Richardson coached me and 3 or 4 of my brothers. Me and his daughter was like sister and brother.
Oh man, Coach.
Yeah, we love each other today. We like sister and brother.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah. Man, Coach, I've been under some great people. Don't get me all this knowledge I got. It didn't come from just Johnny Cole. You know, when you're the youngest of 8 brothers and all of them are superstars and great men and gentlemen, and being able to coach under Pete Richardson and some of the greats, man. Look, hey man, I'm just blessed, Coach. I just want somebody to take advantage of some of this blessing.
Yeah, you have a lot of knowledge to share with staffs and players. And Coach, I can't wait to see you back on the sideline again. Texas Southern squeaked by Bethune-Cookman, Coach. What do you think about that, since that is your alma mater?
Well, right now, man, you know, when you 1-4 and you just beat the College of the Blind, You know, anything, man, anything helps.
Any win will do, huh?
And man, I love Texas Southern, but you know, when you in your 5th year of the program, 5th year, we're talking about 5 years. That means the kids I recruited, some of them are either finishing their 4th year, which was probably redshirted maybe, or some of them are seniors. So if you got a championship program, no, let me go back. Let's throw championships out the door. When you got a winning program, at least, Rocky, you're finishing 6-5, 7-4, 8-3. You really should be competing for the West Championship. And really, if you don't win the West, man, I gotta shake your hand. I don't give you $1.5 million. I don't fed your kids and your grandkids. You should be hugging me like, man, you actually should be apologizing. Say, man, I'm sorry I didn't get it done. I wish I could get 5 years somewhere.
What you say, Coach, it's a blessing to get 5 years to institute your program, for an institution to show that kind of patience. And you have to have, in my opinion, if you're given 5 years, you have to have played for a championship in those 5 years or won a championship to repay the institution for the patience. You know what I mean?
Or let's just say you didn't get to the championship. But at least 3 out of them 5 years, I'm 7-4. I'm showing progress. I'm 6-5. You know, I'm there. We may be 1 away. I'm gonna give you that much. You know what I'm saying? But to be 2-4 at this time in the middle of the year and really don't have the kids are playing off of sheer guts and determination. It's bad, especially being in the city of Houston.
Yep. And Coach, what is because I know you have the pulse of the alumni because you have so many. You coach there. You went to college. That's where you graduated from. That's where you played football and basketball there, Coach. So you're very interested in alumni. What is the alumni? What's the pulse of the alumni about that situation? Are they frustrated? Or they, what is it?
To my dear alumni in Texas Southern, when you're a perennial loser, you don't know what winning looks like. You don't know what it smells like. You don't know what it is. And that's a lot of that goes on at Texas Southern. They so used to not winning and so then we start looking around at each other, and when I say each other, alumni graduates, and start questioning each other, and we always going outside, bringing in the president, outside, bringing in the coach, outside, bringing in the provost, when the championship is right there on your campus. Because of what you go through going through Texas Southern. One of the things I learned in my first year of coaching under Texas Southern University was what not to do. So I had to get away to learn what to do. You know what I mean? And understand why you don't do certain things. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what happens there. You know what I mean? And what happens, we bring these people from outside that really don't want to be there. You got to want to be at Texas Southern. You know what I mean? You could say it, but you got to want to be. Because there are some things that you got to mop up and clean up and roll your sleeves up and really say, this is where I want to be. Not saying, oh, I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to show you what to do and then I'm going to get the heck on out. And that's what happened. Most schools, most colleges, most teams, most places, they hire their own. And we got a bad job of doing that at Texas Southern University, of hiring our own. So that's my little 2-bit. But let's get back to the SWAC.
No, Coach. That's your alma mater, and I know you have a deep affection and affinity for your alma mater, Coach. And so I just,
when you look at schools, you look at the University of Miami, they hire their own. Florida State, Notre Dame, UCLA, USC, they hire their own. University of Texas. when you play ball at University of Texas, they just bring you back to play golf with the alumni. You know what I mean?
But Coach, some would argue if you have a losing tradition, you would need to go outside to bring that winning tradition back to your program.
But here's the question: Who is leading the first leg? It's somebody from outside. Because if you got to know what's going on inside to know the problem. The art of war is start issues from the inside. Have you ever read that book?
Mm-hmm.
So if you ain't never been there and you don't know the inside, you don't know that's the first thing I need to correct.
What you're pointing out is there's some inner workings in Texas Southern that work against their own interests, is what you're.
Yes.
Okay. I can accept that.
And it's not one person; it's the system.
I got you. I got you, Coach. All right, we got some big games coming up this week, both in the SWAC, MEAC, and other HBCUs. And we're going to go through the slate, and we're going to pick the games as we go through the slate, Coach. So,
let's go over that. Did you have last week's? Because I think I scored higher than you.
We'll get that, Coach. Okay. I didn't score it last week, Coach.
Because you called me out last week. You felt real good that you outscored the coach. Okay, go ahead.
So we got somebody said we got a comment here, and it says someone who knows the system is more likely to just accept it than someone from the outside to fight it. That's a good point. And that's from my man off script. Shout out to Scotty. And I think what Scotty is saying is if you're from the inside, you may be more inclined to go along to get along rather than being willing to disrupt things in order to make a change that needs to be made. Well,
we're speaking of the football program. And it is a validity, first of all, to what he said, for me to keep the job. And I got that. But we're talking about the football program. At least that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And not necessarily because here's the thing. I learned how to do things from Texas Southern, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent. But I was able to go away and learn and see how other black schools do stuff, other universities. So when I look at it, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as I came through the system, I understand the problem. Let me get a way to learn how it's done in other places. So when I come back, I can identify what's wrong and what's not. And that's why I said earlier, Rocky, you got to get somebody to do what, Rocky? What I say?
That wants to be there.
Who want to be there?
Yeah, Coach. Now let's give Coach McKinley, who is really, let's be honest, Coach McKinley has struggled as a coach the entire time he's been at TSU. And we can acknowledge that. We also can acknowledge that he's from the outside, and he had, he was actually coached at U of H before, right? I don't know if he had any previous HBCU experience. So I would think that a guy that has Power 5 or Group of 5 experience, knows how a program should run, would be able to come inside the program, identify those things that are not efficient, those things that are not functioning properly, and be able to institute a change. Also use those recruiting ties that he built when he was at the Power 5 to help improve the roster at Texas Southern. That all makes sense to me, but for whatever reason, it hadn't panned out for Coach McKinley.
Rocky, see, that's why I like. Look, I'm great teaching you. You ready? You got your cap on?
Yeah, I got it, Coach. I'm taking notes.
African American coaches at FBS schools don't learn that stuff. They in the office, they coach their position, and they recruit. They're from the outside. None's asked for them to do. They don't do anything besides coach their position and see things, how things should look. They don't learn how to make it that way. They've not asked questions about having things done. They don't have speaking engagements. None of that, coach. They recruit, they coach their own position.
Off script has a comment here. He says, most of these coaches know these programs aren't good, but they want the head coach title and the money.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And they not good coaches. Some of them ain't even never been coordinators. You know what I'm saying? Some of them have never even been coordinators before. So how can I give a guy the keys to my Ferrari? Because, see, I look at black colleges because the reason why I never wanted to go to PWI schools is because I wanted to be in control. And I wanted to take my black college to where we would beat them year in and year out like we did at Tennessee State, that showed that, number one, we can coach, showed that, number two, that black kids can be disciplined and they can win. They do it at the big schools. They can do it at our level. And that was my thing. When you look at Coach McKinney, $300,000, he's won 10 games. Do the math.
Hey, those are some expensive wins. Those are some expensive wins.
That's $30,000 a win per year times 5. So 5 times 30. Let me do the math, coach.
That's $1.5 million, coach.
$50,000 a win in 5 years. Come on, coach. And see, here's the thing about Coach McKinley. And first of all, this is not personal.
That's $150,000 a win, coach. God almighty.
He's a hometown guy. He played at Jack Yates. Do you know where Jack Yates is?
Coach, I know where Jack Yates is.
Where is it at, coach?
It's in 3rd Ward.
But do you know where it's set at?
I mean, it's in 3rd Ward. I don't know the actual location. I know it's in 3rd Ward.
Let me give you the actual location.
I know it's not far from U of H.
Let me give you. It's across the street. Jack Yates is across the street from Texas Southern University.
Wow.
You walk 10 steps, you on Jack Yates campus. You walk 10 steps the other way, you on Texas Southern campus.
Wow.
So I promise, Coach, I've heard a lot of great things about him. Matter of fact, we went and recruited him. He's done a great job at University of Houston. He did a great job of recruiting at Texas A&M. He did a great job at Arizona State. So I want to make sure that this ain't a
hit job on
him. You know what I mean?
But the facts are the facts, though, Coach.
Well, I'm gonna let you do that. Because I love my dear TSU and we thought we were doing the right thing and man, it's a bad situation.
Now, Coach, again, the results are the results. We don't have to hem and haw about that, right?
Right.
Now, this is what I think. This is just my bootleg. I think they were probably ready to get rid of it. But they had a transformational player in the program, I believe. A transformational player in the program. And I think they feared if they let him go, that player would transfer. Turns out that player got injured this year. He's not playing. And I still think the threat of him transferring is real. That's not any inside information I have or nothing like that. It's just, from, my assumption, because so in my opinion, they kept him on staff to keep the player. And now the player's not playing. I honestly think they should move on. That's just my opinion, which don't mean diddly squat to anybody. Right. But when you've won 10 games in 5 years, when the school and the institution has been patient with you so you could build a program and you haven't been able to, you at the end of your contract, I think you got to go to the administration and tell them, hey, I've done my best, but I just wasn't able to turn it around and move on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's the respectable thing to do. I don't think making promises moving forward, trying to stay in the position is fair to the institution or the alumni. And I hope they, are able to make a decision that's in the best interest of the institution. And particularly, I hope they're able to hold on to that player, but I seriously doubt that they can do so unless they make a transformational hire at that school, and do something that, I'm not saying a celebrity hire or a Dion, because I know, that may not necessarily be what they're looking for, but I think there are some candidates out there that are available that can put this program back on track if they decide to make the right choice.
The sad thing about it, Coach, we ain't never been on track. Besides the 2 years that I've been there, and another 40 years before I came. I think we finished 8-3 and either 2000, something like that. But besides that, man, it's been losing seasons, Coach. It's been losing seasons for years. And then finally, of course, here I am coming through, Texas Southern graduate, been a couple paces, and was able to stay there 3 years and win a championship. Then you attack me. And that's tough. That's tough. That's tough for me to talk about, because, I understand I made some mistakes, but I think those mistakes, and it ain't up to me, was able to move on or at least try to move on and make the best of it. I don't know. I don't know as a business or what businessman that has a employee that is his top employee, and because he make a mistake, let me fire him. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't one that's gonna take the program on his business under. It's a policy. But look, like I said, I can't pick and choose the punishment. But I can say that I think we were on our way. We done a lot of great things there. We were the first program to score the APR. We was the first program to win a championship. We was the first program to beat Southern, Grambling, Jackson State in the same year. Not 1 year, 2 years. We graduated 90% of our athletes. I am a graduate from the university. My daughter, I got 2 daughters that's graduated from the university. We had the city on lock. They would come to see our games before they would see University of Houston games. And it was a great time. It was a good time. It was a great time. And that was it. It was like a flash in the past, man. But
Coach, I know those are some very fond memories for you. And under those circumstances, I know it was, we've talked at great length about it. It was a very difficult way to part from your university and your alma mater. I also know that, in my opinion, what you went through in the school was more of an administrative error than anything else. And anybody out there who wants to look up the details can look it up. It was an administrative error. A lot of the issues should have been dealt with a compliance officer that should have been on staff or carefully looking after that stuff. And some things were overlooked. And from an administrative standpoint, that's why you guys were sanctioned, and that's why you were, were, in my opinion, the scapegoat to a large degree. That's it. That's me speaking. That's me speaking.
It's true to fact, Rocky, because I could share actually what happened at the meeting and what Texas Southern's comeback was we're giving up our winning coach this was said actually at the NCAA meeting. We're giving up our winning coach and our alumni coach to let you know, NCAA, that we're really serious about violations. Because violations went on from 95 to up to the present time where I was. In that year, the NCAA found out that out of 14 sports, 13 other sports had violations. Not football, 13 out of 14 sports had violations. And no other coach got let go besides me. And then after that, they ended up letting go the basketball coach. And that's a terrible thing. It's terrible. I accept my responsibilities as the head coach, but and one of the things, as my man asked Coach for me, what would you do in this era to get Texas Southern back on track? I would tell you off script, off. That's money. Hire me, and then you'll see. It's an easy job, Coach.
Hey, I give you his number. He know interviews are gonna be happening. There are other coaches may end up taking his talking points, but he'll tell you one-on-one off script. I'm sure he will, because I've heard
it. Got a show. I need to be on his show.
He'll lace it up, man. I'll pass your phone number on to him, and definitely y'all can do something together, man. Because
you know the crazy thing, Rocky, when I sit around and I hear TSU guys talking, or people talking to like, man, TSU need to do this, and I just sit there. I won the championship, Coach. I finished number 2 in Black college football, number 23 in the nation. And so I sit there, listen, TSU, this is what they need. This is what they need to do. They just talking, Coach. They just talking. I'm the answer. You know what I'm saying? I got the ingredient. I ain't Aunt your mama. They turned it to Jemima mama, didn't they? You know what I'm saying? And not only
would say the game is to be sold, not told.
That's it. I won at Alabama State. I go on one of the top quarterbacks in NCAA history. I won at Tennessee State, Heisman Trophy there. Both of my quarterbacks played in the Senior Bowl. My quarterback at Southwestern College broke every conference record. Coach, look, man, I'm ready. Get me off the sideline, Rocky.
Hey, Coach, you my guy, Coach. And I know what kind of guy that they not only would be getting a great football man, but just a good dude and a great guy, somebody that can inspire and motivate at a very high level, man. And so, hey, Coach, I'm your guy. So anything, I'm biased as heck, I'm biased, Coach, but at the same time, you have the resume to, to be honest with you, man, that SWAC schools hire guys that are unqualified at a very high rate, Coach.
Yes.
I think there are many coaches in this conference, in the SWAC, and probably, Division II, that would be doing themselves a great service by hiring you to coach football because you love the game, you know the game, and you're damn good at it. And so
it's not personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not personal. It's been an assassination on me and my brother in Black college football. And it's sad to say that your own people assassinating you.
It be your own people sometimes.
Yeah, your own people. And, you got the Ryan brothers. You got the Harbaugh brothers. You know what I'm saying? You got all these other on the other side, which I coach with the Harbaugh. You know what I mean? We know about the Ryan brothers and all these kids of these PWI coaches, you know what I mean, have pushed their kids and they walk their kids through that and they look out for each other. We don't do that, Coach. We don't do that. You know why? Because there are so few far jobs in between. You got 20 big time schools, FCS. Then you got another, 20. That's us. That's that little little piece that we swimming over. You know what I'm saying? I remember when me and my brother went to the SEC's commissioner. I can't call his name today. And we sitting there talking, and my brother was like, he just had won the OVC, up for a second time. And every coach before him that had won the OVC got a job in the FBS. Okay? My brother won it back to back. And they and he told my brother, you will never get one of those jobs. He said, because they don't respect and honor black college football. And we as blacks don't respect and honor it as well. And so what happens is that now he's got to go try to get a job at an FCS PWI school and got to win there just to get an opportunity to coach, to get a head job. When white guys before him would win the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, and they would move on.
Now, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. When y'all were in the Ohio Valley Conference, it wasn't a black conference, was it?
No, it's all white. It's always been all white.
But how were y'all able to win that conference in this all-white conference?
Coach, we stoned people. We averaged 45 points a game.
So y'all were a black school.
One conference game in 2 years.
So y'all were a black school in a white conference?
At Tennessee State. Yes, sir. We are the only HBCU school in the history of college football to win an all-white conference 2 years, 1 year, 2 years straight. It's in Washington, D.C. It's in Washington, D.C. We don't, not Eddie Robinson, not Jay Gaithers, not W.C. Gordon, not Archie Cooley, not Marino Castle, L.C. Cole, not Pete Richardson. L.C. Cole is the only one ever done that. Wow.
That's pretty impressive, Coach. When you think about, FCS football and what it and sometimes how people look at HBCU football versus, regular FCS. Nowadays, Coach, to be honest with you, Coach, there are not many black colleges who want to play quality FCS opponents. They'll play LSU and they'll play those money games, but they really won't. I don't see. A lot of schools won't play the quality FCS opponents for some reason. And you guys, because you were in that conference, you guys had to play that schedule. And so
here's the crazy part about it, Rocky Miller. Do you know? You see that ring? Let me see right here. That one and that one. That's back-to-back Tennessee State championship teams. Tennessee State won't even honor the two championship years. They don't even talk about it. They won't even talk about it because my brother was the head coach. They won't even talk about it. It's crazy.
Really?
Those two rings right there.
Wow.
It's ludicrous that me and my brother is being lynched, and being outlawed by black college football. I don't get it. It ain't personal with me. But we got kids and we want a good living as well. But like our mom was always taught us, hey, if they slap you on this cheek, turn that cheek. You know what I mean? Because there is a God upstairs.
I'm running out of cheeks, Coach.
And we've always been able to feed ourselves and our families. So I don't know what it is, but it is what it is. And, I think they're letting some talent get away from HBCUs that we could take those schools to the next level.
Coach, I want to thank you, Coach, for sharing everything you shared tonight with us, Coach. Cause it wasn't planned, it wasn't scripted.
No,
it's just a conversation we got into, man. And I appreciate you being transparent and honest, and answering questions that were asked. There's a couple comments on here that I want you to, I don't necessarily, you ain't got to respond to them, but they're just true. It says, if you can hire a real estate agent, he's referring to Alabama State's current coach, then then they need to bring you back. This other gentleman right here is saying, it says off script, he can resume winning. He had losing season. I can't. I mean, there were in his first year attached program. I don't understand what he's saying. I'm sorry about that. If you can make sense out of it, Coach,
well,
you go right ahead.
It's I've never been anywhere where I've lost. And really I've never been, since I left Texas Southern, I've never been on a program that had a losing. I took over in Lane. We were 0-10 the first year, and then we jumped off 73 and 83. I left there in 07 to go to Texas Southern. Do you think Lane has had a winning season since I left? No.
Wow.
We was at Alabama State. We got there. They had 9 losing seasons. We had 3 winning seasons. You know what I mean? And then we brought some top players in there, and they got rid of us the day that we supposed to showed up in August. And so they brought a coach in there, Coach Cole, who ended up winning the East. And then the next year he won the SWAC championship with our players. You know what I mean? I was on Pete Richardson championship team. We won championships. You know what I mean? My quarterback and my players have always won. I ain't broke no law. I don't beat my wife. I ain't an alcoholic. I ain't a drug addict. You know what I mean? I ain't did hit and run. You know what I'm saying? I'm educated. I got a master's degree. All my children are educated. All my brothers are educated. You know what I mean? Do I make mistakes? Am I perfect? No. You know what I'm saying?
And our script bring
football coach. Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach. Our script brings this up. Hugh Freeze done had sexual allegations galore, and he got a job at Auburn. Matter of fact, they got him on the telephone calling hookers while he was at, was it Ole Miss?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, he was calling hookers, ordering hookers. You
know what his punishment was? He got the head job at Liberty, which is a Christian college, and they paid him $4 million. You know what Petrino punishment was when he left Arkansas? He got the head job at West Kentucky. They paid him good money, and they said whoever come buy you out got to pay $1 million. And Louisville dropped $1 million with no problem.
Wow,
then he was at Louisville. He left Louisville and went to the Atlantic Falcons as the head coach. He left the head coaching job at the Atlantic Falcons in the middle of the year and went to Arkansas. I'm sorry.
Went to Louisville.
Went to Louisville. I'm sorry.
Arkansas paid the $1 million, I think.
Right.
Yeah, Coach.
But like my man said, he won everywhere he been, Coach.
Hey, Coach, let's get through these picks right quick.
Okay.
And we don't have to take a lot of time on them, but I know you got to cook for your daughters, and so on the West Coast, y'all gonna have a late
honey.
Huh?
My honey. I gotta cook for my honey.
Oh, you got to kick for your honey. Okay. All right, Coach.
Jackson State.
All right, Jackson State. Oh, you got Jackson State. I'm taking Jackson State too.
Yeah.
Alcorn. And you got Alcorn. Southern.
See, these two teams, Jackson State and Alcorn, got to win to stay, especially Alcorn, to stay in the hunt.
And Southern has 2-2. I'm taking FAMU, Southern, Alcorn, and Jackson. Are you picking anything different?
I'm with everything on the left.
And NCCU, right?
Morgan State, yeah. Morgan State ain't getting it done. They fell off.
All right. Next 5 games. In this game, I got Howard. I gotta take Howard.
You gotta take Howard. Norfolk, man, they can't win them. They can win the MEAC because they just now starting to play.
This will be their first game.
But Howard is showing a lot of progress.
Okay, you pick this next one, Coach.
South Carolina State, Delaware. Delaware ain't won since Moby Dick was a tadpole. South Carolina State.
All right. And I'll pick, and on this one, I'll take Richmond.
I got to take Richmond. North Carolina A&T lost their coach. They done fell apart. They going crazy up there in North Carolina.
Okay. Delaware.
Is that right? Because you got
that's Delaware University.
Oh man, I gotta go with Delaware University. Great program. The Ducks, they'll beat Hampton.
And Coach, I think we're gonna end up agreeing all the way around on this one. And we got Tennessee State against Lincoln for homecoming, the perennial homecoming school
for
of
black
America.
Every black college is playing Lincoln of California. Jesus. Man.
Hey, Coach.
Bad. That's bad. But hey, what can you say?
Hey, Coach, this has been a great show, man. Again, I want to appreciate you for jumping on with me. We'll be back here next week. Coach, I'll let you close us out.
Man, when things go wrong, tie a knot and hold on tight because